Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Ms. Hayes? You're on the list, Susan, later. I'm sorry. Yeah, Ms. Hayes, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairwoman Fox and Ranking Member Scott, for having this hearing, and thank you to all the witnesses that are here today. There's so many important things to consider in this committee. I can talk about the fact that any good teacher knows and encourages parental involvement because they know that that is key to student success. I can talk about the fact that teachers support all students regardless of orientation or identity. I could educate the people in this room about the fact that members of teachers' unions are in fact teachers. I could talk a little bit about the fact that education funding is not, it's appropriated, but it's not spent on the first day of a school year because many academic programs have to play themselves out over the year. But today I will focus my questions on the labor shortage that was exacerbated by the COVID pandemic. But I have to remind everyone once again that we cannot consider any conversation surrounding the crisis in education without the backdrop of a global pandemic in which over 1 million people died. About the fact that the children who are in our schools, many of them lost family members, and that has impacted them. So these were unprecedented times, and we relied on the sciences and conducted ourselves accordingly as we got information. But back to the labor shortage. With teachers, healthcare workers, and childcare providers opting for early retirement, our country was faced to force the uncomfortable reality that we have long neglected to prioritize our workforce development. With the U.S. economy seeing record-breaking job creation under the leadership of President Biden, employers still have millions of job openings to fill. In Connecticut, childcare workers dropped 28% from 2019 to 2020, and according to the National Center for Education Statistics, more than half of the country's public schools reported being understaffed at the start of the 2022-2023 school year. 69% of public schools reported that the primary challenge staffing classrooms was they had too few teacher candidates applying for open positions. And in my state of Connecticut, we had over 1,000 openings weeks before the school year began. In the 117th Congress, we passed the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act of 2022 that would have been a historic $78 billion investment in training 1 million workers annually until 2028. The legislation included my bill, the Youth Build for the Future Act, which invests $1 billion into youth build programs over 6 years and improves support for vulnerable people. Mr. Moriarty, I thank you for your conversations about workforce development and Mr. Sullivan. And I believe this is a bipartisan issue that this committee should be able to find common ground on. Governor Polis, you mentioned that Colorado offers free community and technical colleges for students pursuing careers in healthcare and is hoping to expand this to early childhood education. Can you describe some of the difficulties with recruiting and retaining early childhood educators? And did you see youth employment as a significant contributor to the workforce shortage?
Thank you. We are launching this fall free universal preschool for every 4-year-old in our state. It was a voter-passed initiative that we put on the ballot and championed, and in our state it got 67.7% of the vote, which means it passed in red counties and blue counties, rural and urban. People of our state overwhelmingly said kids ought to be able to go to preschool. Now, that's funded. Along with that, we need more early childhood educators. And again, it's quality. It's not about a place to park your child. Of course, the immediate workforce benefit does help families. It's about preparing a child for the skills they need to succeed in school and beyond. And so we are looking to expand our Care Forward program funded from American Rescue Act, which currently funds free community college degrees in the healthcare fields, to include free community college degree for early childhood educators, also for paraprofessionals that play such a critical role of support in our schools.
Thank you. I love that. As an educator, I know that college is not for everyone, so we have to make sure that we have equal opportunities for career and technical training and workforce development for today's economy. Do you believe that Colorado would benefit from increased funding in programs like Youth Build or these workforce development type initiatives?
Absolutely. To get to your second piece, incorporating workforce training for high school students, especially that aren't going on to college, is an incredible pathway to success for them and very important for the economy. That can be done, for instance, by expanding flexibility under WIOA for in-school training programs. We have entire high schools like Colorado Early College High School where every student graduates with an associate's degree. We have other high schools where many students graduate with certificates in certain skills to be ready to enter the workforce after they graduate if they're not going on to higher education.
Thank you. You made me lose my gold star. I yield back.